I like your stats, man. I really do. I particularly like the route run right there.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. That's why Kenyan Drake has been so inefficient.
Yeah.
Just like he started right here and just like this and went like this and went like this. Then he caught the ball.
Hey, X marks the spots right
Yeah,
here. You know
these are the other options. I got it.
Yeah.
It's dope.
just in case, you know.
Daughter
worry,
life.
you know. Right here,
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? B Scott here with.
God.
And as you see with the playbook here, we're going over some high risk, high reward running backs. These running backs that are drafted in the first 4 rounds, that have huge upside, top 10, but do have some risk, of course.
Yeah, and you may not be able to win your fantasy league in the first 4 rounds, but you can possibly lose them if you pick a bust pick. So
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we got 4 running backs on the docket, so keep it locked and loaded right here at the first 4 downs.
you know what it is, season 2. Drop the logo.
What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to today's show, where we're going over some high risk, high reward running backs. There's 4 on the docket that are going to be drafted in the first 4 rounds. These are viable players that could honestly make or break your fantasy team.
Yeah,
especially.
I mean, you look at the first 4 rounds in your fantasy draft. You want to look at consistency the most. You know what I'm saying? These are guys that should be there every single week. Period.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? With their production. So, looking into the 2020 season, we're looking at a lot of running backs right now. The top 4 who have like the most concern. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into today's content, don't forget, like the video, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, YouTube, whatever platform you like.
Yeah.
Leave us some comments. Let us know what you want to hear. We got a lot of content that we got coming up, but if there's something else you want to hear, let us know. Well, we're all ears. But anyway, today's show, we're going to start with one of the weirdest picks for me, where the ADP is so high, and that's Kenyan Drake. And
We can go there.
Kenyan Drake is a running back that is in his 5th season, signs a 1-year deal with Arizona Cardinals, and don't get me wrong, through 8 weeks with the Arizona Cardinals, he was outstanding. RB4, that's what he finished at, 123 carries. He finished with 8 touchdowns, in a short span, and looked dynamic. Now, going into the 2020 season, I'm not so sure he's going to live up to the ADP hype. Now, where he's being drafted, I think that's probably ultimately where at the best case scenario he could finish. So for me personally, I got him. I think carrying the ball 200 times in an offense where last year you saw they had 400 carries, Kyler Murray had 100 carries total. Now, necessarily they're not specific run plays for him, but he's still going to carry the ball probably close to 100 times. I could give Kenyan Drake comfortably 200 carries, personally, and he averaged 4.8 yards a carry. That puts him right around 900-something yards. 8 touchdowns last year. He did have those 2 blow-up games with 6 touchdowns, so I give him arguably 8 to 10 touchdowns. He did have 50 receptions last year. So could he get to that 50 reception plateau? I'm not necessarily so sure. Then bringing in DeAndre Hopkins, we'll just have to wait and see. But where his ADP is, I got him finishing a little bit lower. I mean, he's just a little bit too risky for where he's at. Now, the reward. Can he finish as a top 10 back? Yes. I think he could finish right around the 10. If he absolutely dominates the workload and gets 230, 240, it's possible. In his career, average 4.8 yards a carry, it's possible he could finish in the top 5. Could he be Dalvin Cook, though? What do you think?
I don't necessarily think he'll be Dalvin Cook or nothing like that at all. Because Dalvin Cook, I mean, let's be real. He could be the number 1 running back at any given point in the season. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Full season, if he actually played full season, Dalvin Cook could be the number 1 running back. That's how good he is. Now, in the case of Kenyan Drake, you look at that team, it's a spread offense. They went to go get Hopkins and everything like that. And, they're going to throw the ball a lot. That's what they want to do. You know what I mean? You still got old man Fitz in there and Kirk. They both had like 109 targets last year.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins is going to garner that same kind of workload as well. You know what I mean? You look at Kyler Murray. He might run the ball. You know what I'm saying? On broken plays and everything like that. So Kenyan Drake and just showing just in the offense, Kenyan Drake last year, when he did blow up last year, when he actually got the rock, he wasn't really efficient as a pass catcher out of the backfield. You know what I mean? If you really look at his numbers, like yards per target, yards per catch, and everything like that, he was in the 30s, man. That's not very good. That means like as soon as he catches the ball, somebody's tackling him. He's not breaking away.
Yeah.
But we like his skill set. out of Miami. We've seen what he does in between tackles. He's an explosive player.
Yep.
Honestly, with the work given, and they gave him a 1 year, $8 million contract. So I think that says that, they're going to give him a full workload until they find out it don't work right? So let's say we gave him 240 carries.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think he'll still be a 1,200-yard rusher, 1,100, 12-yard rusher, in that 8 to 10 touchdown range. Let's be real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Also, though, what's different about that? They had Chase Edmonds last year, who, as a rookie, you know what I'm saying? He didn't do the best season. You know what I'm saying? But when he was on the field, he was dynamic.
Yep.
In college, kid is a beast. He had 20 touchdown seasons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that's a situation waiting to happen. That's the only reason why they gave him a 1 year deal. But you think about upside with Kenyan Drake. Yeah, I don't see him being a top 5 running back. Could he be with yards carried? That would mean he's good as Derrick Henry. He ain't good as Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I don't think, with him not showing a full season, entering his 5th season, I really don't know if he can handle season long. So the thing that cripples you at drafting him at his ADP, which is 201 to 206,
Yeah.
is you're going to have to draft his backup. Chase, you're going to have to draft him.
Yes.
Period.
Yep.
So that leaves you with bench play problems all season long, and that's the risk you take on taking this player. Upside, top 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's how I see
absolutely.
it.
And that's the hard part. Where he's being drafted is his upside. So, ADP at 22, like you said, second round pick. It's just too risky to take a player with not much upside from where you're being drafted at.
Yeah. It
You're
depends. For me, it's like, okay, so if I'm at the 5 to 7, because if you're in the top 4, you're going to pick one of those running backs.
Yeah,
easily.
absolutely.
So if you're in the 5 to 7, maybe you took a quarterback first. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. Maybe you took Michael Thomas, Tay Adams. You know what I'm saying? One of those players.
Yeah.
Maybe Tyreek. Maybe Julio. Who knows? If you wrap around and you're looking at it like that's my number 1 running back, I would rather go with a couple of upside players, who have the same risk in the 3rd to 4th round than who we have on this docket as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah, of course. Kenyan Drake can be a viable top 10 running back, but he also could fall out. You haven't seen the full workload. So we can move to the next running back on the docket. I'll tell you right here, I got his routes run. It's all drawn right here, nice and pretty.
that's actually one route.
Absolutely. Next player, James Conner.
Yeah.
This is a guy that's being drafted 3rd, 4th round that absolutely last year had a down year. He has not finished a whole entire season in his career.
The whole team had it down here.
Of course.
The whole city did.
Hey, they still finished 8-8. But anyway, James Conner, 2018, through the first 12 weeks, RB2. Finished the season missing 3 games as the RB7.
In our league, who had him?
Yeah, you picked him. I got you.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I remember. I think you dropped James
Patrick-
Conner for
Patrick-
you dropped Patrick Mahomes.
I did.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Sorry.
thank you.
Yeah.
But in advance. But anyway, James Conner absolutely is a guy that has a lot of upside. You saw it in 2018. He averaged 4.5 yards a carry, something like that.
Beast.
Dynamic playmaker. And you saw last season in 10 games, yards per carry was down, but there was no playmaking ability on that team realistically because the quarterback play was so poor. 4 yards per carry last season, 3 receptions a game. Conner didn't play great last year. He missed some games, but the entire offense took a step back. You saw Juju. I mean, you compare it to what he did the year prior.
Sucks.
Exactly. So James Conner being drafted as low as he is has a lot of upside. This guy's a dynamic playmaker that could finish in the top 5. If he could stay healthy, honestly, if you gave James Conner the numbers that I would give him, if you gave him 16 full games, he would be a top 5 back no matter what.
Yeah, I believe it.
Where he's at. So
When you give that man the rock, he's a man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Man. You know what I mean?
And what separates him from the crowd from the other running backs, last year out of all receivers, he had the number 1 catch rate. So that means when you throw it to him, he caught that ball.
Yep.
And you know what he does on field. The biggest concern with James Conner, period, is his injury concern. I think another emergent thing that's happening is them drafting Anthony McFarland out of Maryland,
Yep.
who's a dynamic playmaker. Kid look like Alvin Kamara to me, but we'll see what happens. But let's say he gives a full workload. Yeah, you're looking at a top 10 to top 5 running back. Easy.
Yeah.
Pass game, that's what makes him so essential in that offense. I mean, yeah, you got Jalen Samuels who can catch the ball and all that. But he had the number over Michael Thomas. He had the number 1 catch rate in the league. Period. I like James Conner a lot. He put on muscle this year. He did not opt out this year, which honestly, him being a cancer survivor puts him as the highest risk for COVID and everything. That's very unique in this season going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have no preseason. So, yeah, I just feel like barring some kind of major injury or some kind of setback, he's going to be a top 10 running back. You know what I mean? At the least.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
especially with Ben Roethlisberger back.
Yeah, of course. 2018, averaged 20 touches a game. That's quite a bit for a running back. If he can get close to that number, last year had 15 touches a game, but he left a couple games early with injuries, so that plays a factor in your touches per game. So I think this year he could have 18 touches a game, something like that. 18 to 20 is more than realistic. And at 230 carries, what I give him in 14 games, at 4.4 yards a carry, his career average, which is still pretty respectable. It's a reasonable number to give him. I think last year he was down below that, so I can give him 4.4 with Ben Roethlisberger, easy. You're looking at 1,000 yards, just over. So, with the receptions, 55 receptions 2018 on 70-plus targets. Steelers, they throw the ball to the running back a lot.
Yeah.
100 targets that year. James Conner had 71. So, in a season where I got him projected at 14 games, which is right around, it's one game higher than 2018, but I think with the muscle he's put on, he has the potential to be a little more healthy this year. He does play very physical. He's a very violent runner.
Peace.
So, absolutely. So, at 14 games, with the numbers I got him projected at, he could have 12 touchdowns. He could have 1,300 total yards. And honestly, could finish at the numbers where I got 230 fantasy points. It's right around there compared to last year, RB7.
Yeah, definitely
That's the potential.
Definitely a guy who can outplay his ADP. His ADP right now is 20.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got him my number 9 running back. So, yeah, I really feel like Connor's that kind of man.
Yeah, absolutely. Connor,
You know what I
huge
mean?
upside. Of course, the biggest risk, injury, and the backfield's a little crowded.
Do you consider, okay, his injuries is one thing, right? If Roethlisberger gets injured again, do you think that sets him back?
Well, if he stays healthy regardless, I think his numbers will go down a little bit, but I think he could still be efficient if he gets the load. If he can stay healthy a full season, we already know the potential he has.
Yeah.
I get it. The backfield's a little full. Benny Snell. They had a Wendell Smallwood. Almost irrelevant. And they drafted Anthony McFarland. They still got Jalen Samuels.
Yep.
That's pretty crowded backfield. So, James Conner, huge upside. He does have risk, especially with injuries, but I think he's a great pick, especially in the 3rd and 4th round. He's a guy that I would be happy to have as my RB1. If you're drafting 2 wide receivers in the first 2 rounds. In the 3rd round, 4th round, I'm happy to have James Conner as my RB1. Absolutely. You could have 3 wide receiver studs and still end up with Conner in the 4th, possibly.
Yeah,
So
that's dope. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
I'll take it all day.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
I'd be happy with that, especially with the risk. So, next running back. This guy can get it done in the red zone. He knows how to score some damn touchdowns,
It's
period.
the guy.
Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
He joins the Atlanta Falcons, gets cut by
He's
the Los
back
Angeles
home.
Rams.
He's back home in Atlanta.
Okay, so Todd Gurley, huge upside. Where he's being drafted, right around the RB 15 range, something like that.
ADP 19.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
you're talking 3rd, 4th round running back.
Yeah.
The man averages 12 touchdowns a year.
Easily.
Exactly. He averages over 4 yards a carry.
Easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and last year you saw, even in a limited offense where they truly limited his carries, 223 on the season. Averaged under 4 yards a carry. Still had 12 touchdowns.
Yeah, still had 12 touchdowns, and that offensive line was absolutely terrible last year.
Yeah. So, that's the struggle. But, you're looking to join an Atlanta Falcons offense that is going to air it out a little more. It's going to open up the field a little better for Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
And where I got him projected, I think he could carry 250 carries. 223 last year, and they really limited him. And he didn't show any signs of being that bad. Was he as explosive? I'm not so sure. Gurley is the type of running back that, like a lot of bigger running backs like that, kind of have to find a groove sometimes to really get going into games. There was a lot of times where he was pulled out of whole drives. And he's easily the best running back on that team. So
if he was healthy, he would stay in regardless.
exactly.
And make the play.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
he's joining the Atlanta Falcons team where the wide receivers at the running back position, they throw the ball to the wide receiver, not so much, but enough. And he's the best wide receiver for the running backs.
Yeah.
Brian Hill, Nito Smith, those guys are mediocre at best, and fighting for the RB2.
Atlanta threw the most passes in the league last year, period. And it was like by double-digit targets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you look at that. And you know what's crazy about Todd Gurley? The real risk here is the arthritis in his knee, right?
Yes.
He's had it through college, and he had a successful career with it. You know what I mean? It showed in that Super Bowl and everything like that he was starting to get wore down more.
Yeah.
So the hype last offseason was like maybe they limited his production, and they did. His target share, his snap share was 71%. But over the last 3 seasons, you look at Todd Gurley, his snap share was 74.2%. Well, that's perfect going to the Atlanta Falcons, because you look at the Atlanta Falcons running back position, whether or not it was Devontae Freeman or Tevin Coleman, the snap share was at 55%. So you reduce his snap share by 20%, his production by 20% of the Todd Gurley that we know. You know what I mean? That still averages 1,000 yards, 450 yards receiving, and multiple touchdowns, especially with a team that struggles in the red zone as they do. Look at Julio Jones. This should be God at wide receiver.
Yeah.
But he can't get a touchdown in the red zone. They fixed that with Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Absolutely. I mean, where I got Gurley projected, 250 carries. That's a reasonable number to give him. I don't think he misses it. Maybe he misses a game. 250 carries is reasonable. 4.3 yards a carry. That's a reasonable amount. It's right around his career average, which is a little, obviously it's higher than last year, but I think it's more than possible. So 250, 4.3, just over 1,000 yards rushing. I give him 10 touchdowns because it's Todd Gurley. Yeah. He averages 12 a season.
Not only because it's Todd Gurley, he's playing at home for the first time in his career. Georgia Bulldog from the area, back home with the Atlanta Falcons. I think that's enough motivation for him to just come out running.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Then you're looking at the receiving end. Possible 40 receptions. He's, like I said, he's the best receiving back on the field for the Atlanta Falcons. So they throw the ball to the running back, and they average over the last 3 seasons 5 touchdowns through the air to the running back position. So you got to at least give Gurley 3 of those. Yeah. So you're looking at 10 touchdowns there, 3 through the air, 1,400 possible total yards. And I don't think he's not gonna. I don't think Gurley's gonna see a outstanding injury that takes away a lot of games from him. Now, yes, his production could be limited a little bit.
Do you think, honestly, Brian Hill or Edo Smith eats into his production this season?
No,
I don't know either. There's a lot of rumors around camp saying that a lot of the players felt like Brian Hill deserved, a starting role and maybe a shot at that. But I mean, come on, you got a chance to get a Todd Gurley on any team. I'm taking Todd Gurley all day long.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Where he's being drafted, ADP's 34 right now, running back position. You have 19, something like that.
I got him 12.
Absolutely. I got him
in my range.
I got him within the 15.
Yeah.
And with the numbers I got, potential RB7 to RB10 upside. I mean, huge. And I think I'm not trying to be. I try to be modest with the numbers I give.
Yeah.
I definitely play into factor of touches and how effective they're going to be. Absolutely, Gurley's got huge upside for a third round running back.
That's what I'm saying. A definite steal in the third round over a guy in Kenyan Drake where you're drafting him out of ceiling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, because Gurley has nowhere to go but up. And even his risk.
And even the first 6 games, they have like the easiest slate in the National Football League.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely an easy strength schedule. So, Gurley, definitely be drafting him. Very excited. Especially if you took 2 wide receivers. Gurley, my number 1 running back, I'll be happy with it.
Let's go, Gurley.
Absolutely. So, on to the last player on our high risk, high reward.
The most high risk, high reward player ever.
Potential.
Yeah.
David Johnson.
Yeah.
He changes teams to Houston Texans. My problem with the big risk I have with him, it is a new football team. He has no true competition on the roster for the early down work. He really doesn't. Now, he does average only 4 yards per carry. That's my worry on his career. It's not very high. It's not horrible, but it's not very high. And even last year you saw, through the first 6 weeks when he was healthy, he was the RB6.
Yeah.
So
through the first 6 weeks.
Absolutely. And he made a lot of his plays through the pass game.
Through the pass game, yeah.
Absolutely. So now he's joining the Houston Texans team.
They were, if you look at running back production, running between the tackles, They were number 11 at the rush percentage. You know what I'm saying? You know who's number 12? The Dallas Cowboys with Ezekiel Elliott. So that workload is going to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You look at what Carlos Hyde did last year. You know what I'm saying? 245 carries, I believe, and 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
So that workload is going to be there. Who the fuck is behind David Johnson?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Nobody anybody's heard of.
Duke Johnson.
Well, Duke Johnson will see some work in the pass game. Last season at 80.
We liked Higdon last year. You know what I'm saying? He was a dynamic player coming out of West Virginia, I believe. But yeah, he still ain't seen the field. So Duke Johnson.
Yeah.
No.
I know.
David Johnson is going to eat.
Yes. David Johnson should have 240 carries.
Yeah.
As long as he can stay healthy. Now, look, last year he had the back injury. That's the big risk. He had the back injury. And there was games he was almost a healthy scratch. Or supposedly, you didn't know if he was actually hurt or not. He was just kind of scratched from the lineup, or he played 2 or 3 snaps. What does that tell you? Was the team just done with him? Or was he actually hurt? We don't know.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you right now, if he can get 240 carries, even at 4 yards a carry, and he's going to get all the touchdowns. You know, Duke Johnson had 0 rushing touchdowns, maybe 1 touchdown. Deshaun Watson leads the team, 7 rushing touchdowns last season. Carlos Hyde 6. You give Dave Johnson probably 6 to 8 touchdowns. That's a reasonable number. At 4 yards carry, 240, just over 900 yards rushing. And I think you saw how dynamic he is in the pass game. You do have DeAndre Hopkins, 150 targets that are gone. Brandon Cooks is there, but is he going to warrant the same amount of targets? Not necessarily. Those running backs could play a huge factor, and you can see David Johnson a lot on the field.
I really think Brandon Cooks adds that speed to the offense. They added Randall Cobb for the slot. I think you're going to see Duke Johnson kind of disappear in this offense. You know what I mean? As far as pass catching backs, he was the first Alvin Kamara. I think they're going to use him just in that same kind of way. Maybe they run him through the tackle a little bit. You know what I'm saying? They're going to give him his full workload to run. But those dump offs, they're going to be there. You got David Johnson catching the ball for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's dynamic with a mobile quarterback who is elite in Deshaun Watson. I just see a lot of upside with David Johnson. Now, you look to the risk, the health. You know what I'm saying? Can he stay on that field? That's the only thing.
If he was unhealthy. You go back to 2018, where everyone only remembers David Johnson for the 2016 season. Man, had 30 touchdowns. Unreal. You know? But look at 2018. He still finished, where no one talks about it, as the RB10. You know? So that tells me that he could have some juice in the tank. And I think joining a team where he's got all the early down work, his upside is right around RB10 to 12.
Yeah.
You know, and where he's being drafted as RB20.
Yeah.
Think about that.
His ADP actually is 24.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With a pretty decent strength of schedule. So it's like, you know, I don't know, man. I just think David Johnson is going to be a producer in this. I mean, you look at Bill O'Brien, right? You go trade your best player on your team outside of Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And you go get David Johnson. If you don't make this work, if you didn't have a plan for this, man, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think this is the play that they're banking on. I think he's going to get a lot of run, a lot of production to be had there. So I got David Johnson like easily value pick, you know what I'm saying, in that 4th round. Probably the value pick of the 4th or 5th round, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Where he's being drafted, possibly even sliding into the 5th.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of upside. He does have risk. You know, he could not even finish the season.
Yeah.
You know, and that's huge. But I wish I had his route runs on here. I mean, it'd be all over the place because the guy's dynamic in the pass game.
Yeah.
So that's been the high risk, high reward running backs. Like I said before, like the video, subscribe, all that stuff. If you could, possibly, let us know what you'd like to hear. And on the next show, we're going to be going over some high risk, high reward wide receivers. Very similar to this list. You'd be surprised at some of the players we got coming up. So,
we got you.
Absolutely. So for the first 4 downs, it's been B. Scott,
G.O.D.
and we out.
Yeah.